Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Stories on the Small Screen. We are recapping Season 1, Episode 2 of Queens. It airs Tuesday nights on ABC, so let's get right into it. So the first scene we open up with all the ladies looking at the billboard. Remember last episode they ended looking at the billboard talking about they're going on tour. So as the ladies are talking, the manager walks back up and his name is Eric and he's bleeding and basically Brianna and Naomi, all the ladies are like, "What happened to your face?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing." He's playing it off, but up comes walking a guy with a gun and they start screaming, "You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this." So then all of a sudden they go to back the story rewinds 2001 in San Diego. So they're in San Diego, and the scene opens with apparently they're in concert and they're performing, and actually Cameron is performing with them, but the ladies are all saying their lyrics, and as Valeria gets up to say hers, it looks like Naomi is basically shading her, rolling her eyes every time Valeria says a line. And basically, Jill is like trying to perform, but looking at Naomi like, "What's your problem?" So Naomi continues to try to say her lyrics, but you can tell she's clearly not into the performance, and all the girls are noticing this. And then they keep cutting back and forth to Eric, the manager, and he's like, "Don't do this." And finally, Valeria says on stage, "Don't do this to Naomi," because clearly she's not feeling the group anymore. So Naomi goes, "How did we get here? We used to be family. We're queens, and I can't pretend anymore, do this anymore." And she says to the audience, "Queens are we're done. The group is done." And then she walks off. So then the next scene, they go to basically Brianna with her husband, and you remember he's fighting cancer, so he's basically trying to tell her, say, "Hey, we need to talk about what happened." And she's like, "I'm not interested in talking to you about your cheating. My goal is to keep you alive." But she did say couldn't find a babysitter, so she had to call Valeria. So Valeria basically is keeping the kids, and she's got them doing yoga. But the phone rings, and Eric is on the phone. And I guess those two are in cahoots together, because she's like, "Did you find us another venue?" And he's like, "No." But she's like, "Well, we can't convince the girls to uproot their lives, and we don't have something good to offer them." So apparently that's what Eric is working on that. So the next scene is pretty funny. It's with Jill and her with her lover Tina. They're in bed and they're talking, and all of a sudden they hear this noise. So Jill goes and gets a gun from under the bed, a huge shotgun at that. And then all of a sudden she's like, "Wait a minute, do you smell something? I smell bacon or pancakes, whatever it was." They go into the kitchen. It's Jill's husband that she left for Tina, Darren, and Darren is trying to cook them both breakfast, and they're looking at him like, "Are you crazy? What are you doing here?" And Tina's like, "I'm going to go back home." And then Darren's like, "No, Tina, you stay. This involves you too." So basically, he's trying to convince them to all three be in a relationship because he loves Jill and he's not going to stop loving Jill. It was crazy. And Jill is like, "Look, I love you, but, not like that. I'm in love with Tina and I'm trying to live my truth at this point." So basically, Darren's like, "Well, I'm never going to stop loving you." And Jill looks a little torn, or actually like feels bad that she hurt him. So the next scene is a quick scene, and it's basically a little muffin, and apparently she's in rehab, but she's being a diva, and she's putting lip gloss on and acting like she doesn't want to be there. And finally, the counselor goes, "Well, if you don't get the help you need, you're not leaving." So that kind of brings her to a reality check to her, and then they move on. And they move on to the scene where Naomi's having, looks like breakfast or lunch with her daughter JoJo, and they're trying to reconnect, and JoJo's like, "I know you're not with you going on tour, I won't be able to see you." So Naomi's like, "I'm really trying." And who walks up? Cameron. And it's funny as they go back and forth. Cameron, yes, and JoJo have the same mannerisms and things that they like, far as food and the way they say things and the way they move. So I'm thinking he's JoJo's father at this point. So basically, Cameron sits down, and Naomi's like, "Why don't you eat with us?" So he says, "Sure." So they're ordering, and him and JoJo basically order kind of the same food. And then they look at each other. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's her father. But Cameron also has another thing to talk about. He told Naomi, "Hey, I seen you and your demo landed on my desk and I want to sign you." And Naomi's like, "Well, the group is not together." And he's like, "Well, I didn't say the group. I just want to sign you." So Naomi's like, "Wow, okay," kind of shocked but happy. He's like, "All you have to do is nail this meeting with the record labels and then we can, do our thing." So moving on, we move on to Jill. She's back in church, and it looks like they're about to take communion or something and fellowship. And while they're fellowshipping, no one wants to like shake Naomi's hand and fellowship with him. So she's a little taken back. So she gets in line to get communion, and the priest had a nerve to kind of turn her down and give this speech about the Lord. And I'm not sure what he was saying, but he actually called her unclean or something that pissed Jill off because she actually walked out the church upset. And actually, as she walks out the church, she's walking down the entryway. And all of a sudden, when she gets out the entryway, these reporters basically bum rush her. And they're like, when did you come out the closet? She's taken aback and she's not happy with it. So basically, we move on to 1997, and the girls are performing in New York. And actually, it was not all three of them. It was only Naomi, Brianna, and Jill at the time. So they're actually showing when Valeria came in. And actually, Valeria approached Eric behind scene backstage and was like, they're a good group. They're all, they can do their thing, but still all this time and no, they're not signed with a label. So basically she's telling Eric they're not signed because they're missing something, and what they're missing is me. So then they move on to Eric trying to convince the girls that, to have Valeria in the group. So basically, Naomi is, backstage and was like, well, she wants Valeria to prove herself, and Valeria spits a line. So basically they're happy with it, and apparently she's in the group. So then we move on to the next few scenes, and basically we have a lot going on. We have Jill upset. She's talking to Tina about the church, and, Tina's trying to convince her, what did you expect that would happen? As she's talking to Tina, who rings the doorbell? Little Muffin. She escapes. Eric is trying to convince the record label to sign the girls. And then we have Naomi. She's in a meeting with the record label with Cameron. They love her. And basically, Naomi's excited, but then they tell her, they drop a bomb on her and say, we don't want the girls. We just want you. So now she's going to be torn between, she has to make a decision. The decision is to go on her own, something she's wanted for 20 years, or ditch the girl group that she's been with, like sisters for all this time. And not to mention, Cameron is not happy because he's telling the record label, I want her to sign on my label. And they're like, well, how are you going to afford a 41-year-old rapper? So when they say that, Naomi gets her things and goes out the room, and Cameron goes after her. And she's like, I didn't sign up for this. I constantly hear I'm not good enough, right enough. Now, talking about her age. Basically, she's like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm over this. I'm not good enough. And then Cameron's like, no, you don't mean that. You don't mean that. Just think about it. So basically, that ends that scene. Then they do a quick cutaway to Brianna and her husband. He had the surgery. I'm not sure if they removed the tumor, and the doctors give them good news. And she's like, after chemo, your family should be cancer free. Well, he should be cancer free, and basically your family has a future. So basically, her husband's like looking at her, and he's saying, I'm a pretty good looking husband. And basically, Brianna's like, stop. I don't know if I can get over your cheating. And at this point, because he had surgery, this fool don't even remember he cheated. So basically, Brianna's like, you know what? I hate you at this point. And then they cut away to her talking to Valeria. And Valeria's like, girl, he's lying. Don't believe him. I seen that same scene on General Hospital. And then Brianna's like, well, how can I leave a man who doesn't even remember he cheated? So Valeria basically is trying to convince her. Valeria is trying to convince her, girl, leave him anyways. He's lying. So as Brianna and Valeria are having a conversation, the doorbell rings. And who is it? Basically, Thelma and Louise, Valeria called them. It's Jill and Little Muffin. They both are in disguise for who knows what. Jill saying she had to get out of Montana because she's all in the newspaper. So everyone's talking, and the doorbell rings again. And when Brianna opens the door, who's standing in front of her is Naomi. So basically, Brianna's like, wait a minute. All y'all know how to ring doorbells, but none of y'all know how to call ahead. So they're all talking. And then who comes again? It's Eric, the manager. So everyone's there. It's like a circus going on in Brianna's living room. So basically, Eric is like, oh, hey, the whole gang's here. Then he looks at Little Muffin and is like, I'll deal with you later. So basically, he tells the girl, hey, I got us a gig, and it's in San Diego. They all look at each other and is like, oh, no, we cannot do San Diego again. Basically, Brianna's like, I'm a mother. I have stuff going on. And Valeria interrupts her and was like, girl, get you life. You used to be a bad bee. And basically, her and Brianna go back and forth. And Valeria was like, I'm just trying to help you find yourself again. And basically, Jill interrupts and is like, I want to do this gig. And so does Valeria. So now they're just waiting for Naomi to make her decision. So basically, Naomi agrees to do the gig, and all of a sudden they're back on. And Valeria's like, "Oh my God, it's our first solo gig in how many years?" And Brianna was like, "Well, the last one was an epic failure, and we can't have that again." Not to mention, Jill is super happy. She's like, "How often do we get a chance to rewrite history?" So they all hug and they agree on that, and that ends that scene. So basically, moving forward, they fast forward to 1997, and the girls are signing their contracts. They're getting a lot of money, and it's fast forwarding the things that they've been through. That happened all along the ride with them and the MTV Cribs, them not liking each other. Looks like Jill has a drug habit, and so on and so on. Well, a quick scene I wanted to mention was when Little Muffin was trying to sneak out of Brianna's house and she fell out the window. And Jill is basically trying to give her some advice, almost like motherly sister advice. She's like, "I've been where you've been at." And basically, Little Muffin gives her some pushback on that. Basically, Little Muffin is telling Jill, "You got more problems than me. You running from your home, a whole state. You got more problems than me. You scared to come out. You running from your home, your girlfriend, everybody else." So basically, Little Muffin is telling Jill something that she also needs to hear. "Why you telling me what's going on with me? You need to fix yourself." So that's that scene. So we move on. The ladies are at the table and they're talking about, Little Muffin put them on. They're like, "Yeah, but Little Muffin needs to get her stuff together. She's young. You can't tell her anything." And so the ladies agreed on that. They do like Little Muffin. They just want her to get some help. So as they're talking, Eric walks in and he's talking about the concert venue. And basically, Valeria's like, "Oh, no, it didn't sell out." And he's like, "No, it sold out in 12 seconds or 12 minutes. So basically, this show is on and they're up and running. Oh, and they're excited because Little Muffin has agreed to go back to rehab. Jill talked her into it. So they're all pleased with that. So then we move on to a scene where basically Naomi, I'm not sure where she's at. She's in Eric's room and or a hotel, or I'm not sure. And she's watching Valeria on a commercial about perfume. So she asks Eric, "Wait, you guys are still messing around?" And basically Eric's like, "What do you care? You deaded us, and basically I wanted you from beginning when I first heard you rhyme." And then she gives her reason of why they couldn't be together. So basically he's like, "Okay, that was then. What about now? I want to be with you." So basically, Naomi takes a pause, but then she asks them, "Answer my question. Are you messing back with Valeria?" And Eric pauses, but he finally admits it. And obviously, Naomi did not like that, and she walks out the room. So that was the end of that scene. So basically, now we're fast forwarding to the end of the episode where the girls are getting ready for their show. They're in the dressing room getting ready, and they're all freaking out because Naomi's not there. So basically, they're all trying to figure out what's happening. And then Valeria goes, "You know what? I don't blame her. I freaked too what happened. I don't blame her if she shows up." But they all agree to do the show anyways. So all the ladies are on stage being introduced. They introduce Brianna. They introduce who is it? Jill. They introduce Valeria. So then the music is playing, and they're trying to figure out when is Naomi showing. So then they introduce her, and who shows up? Yes, it's Naomi, aka Explicit Lyrics. So basically that happens. And then they fast forward to Naomi again. I'm not sure if she's at home or in her hotel room. And who shows up? Cameron. And he's like, "You want to talk about JoJo's father? Am I her father?" Naomi kind of takes a deep breath when he says that. And basically that ends the episode. They didn't go over who was shooting at the beginning, so I guess they'll cover that in the next episode. But that's all I got for you. Tell me what you guys think. I like to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. I gave this a solid 8. It kept me interested. I'm looking forward to finding out is Cameron's JoJo's father. Who was the man shooting at everybody at the beginning of the episode? So I guess we'll find that out next time. So that's it for Queens episode 2. I want to thank everybody for watching. And if you like it, do me a favor and hit the like button. I appreciate it. And again, thank you very much.